Certification requirements are established to ensure that individuals or organizations meet specific standards of competence or quality in a particular field. These requirements can vary widely depending on the industry, profession, or regulatory body involved. The purpose of certification is often to protect the public, ensure safety, or maintain a certain level of expertise. Compliance with certification requirements is crucial as it demonstrates adherence to these standards and can be a legal or contractual obligation. Monitoring compliance in real time presents several challenges. Firstly, access to real-time information is often limited by technological constraints, data availability, and privacy concerns. It is difficult to instantly track whether every individual or organization is meeting all the necessary requirements at any given moment. Secondly, certification processes can be complex and involve multiple steps, making it challenging to automate the monitoring process. For example, individuals may need to complete training courses, pass examinations, and submit documentation to demonstrate their compliance. Tracking each of these steps in real time requires sophisticated data management systems and efficient communication channels. Thirdly, enforcement of certification requirements can be difficult, especially when dealing with large numbers of individuals or organizations. Regulatory bodies may need to conduct audits, inspections, or investigations to verify compliance and address any violations. This process can be time-consuming and resource-intensive. From a technical perspective, real-time monitoring of certification compliance would require a comprehensive data infrastructure. This infrastructure would need to collect, process, and analyze data from various sources, such as training providers, examination centers, and regulatory databases. The data would need to be accurate, reliable, and up-to-date to ensure that monitoring is effective. Data analytics tools could be used to identify trends, patterns, and anomalies that may indicate non-compliance. For example, if a large number of individuals from a particular organization are failing certification exams, this could be a sign of inadequate training or other underlying issues. Furthermore, real-time monitoring would require robust communication channels to notify individuals or organizations of any compliance issues. This could involve sending automated alerts, emails, or text messages to inform them of any deficiencies or required actions. It is important to provide clear and concise instructions on how to address these issues to ensure timely compliance. In addition to technological challenges, there are also legal and ethical considerations related to real-time monitoring. Privacy laws may restrict the collection and use of personal data for compliance monitoring purposes. It is important to ensure that any monitoring activities are conducted in accordance with these laws and that individuals are informed about how their data is being used. Furthermore, it is important to avoid any discriminatory or biased practices in the monitoring process. All individuals or organizations should be treated fairly and equitably, regardless of their background or characteristics. To improve the effectiveness of certification compliance monitoring, several steps can be taken. Firstly, regulatory bodies can work to streamline certification processes and make them more transparent. This can involve simplifying application procedures, providing clear guidance on requirements, and offering online resources to help individuals or organizations comply. Secondly, technology can be leveraged to automate many of the monitoring tasks. This can involve using software to track training completion, verify documentation, and schedule audits. Thirdly, collaboration between regulatory bodies, industry associations, and training providers can help to improve compliance rates. By working together, these organizations can share best practices, develop training programs, and promote a culture of compliance. For example, they could create a joint task force to address specific compliance challenges or develop a public awareness campaign to educate individuals and organizations about the importance of certification. Furthermore, the use of data analytics can help to identify areas where compliance is lacking and to target enforcement efforts more effectively. By analyzing data on compliance rates, violations, and other relevant factors, regulatory bodies can identify the most pressing issues and allocate their resources accordingly. This can help to ensure that enforcement efforts are focused on the areas where they will have the greatest impact. From an engineering standpoint, the design of a real-time compliance monitoring system would involve several key considerations. Firstly, the system would need to be scalable to handle a large number of individuals or organizations. This would require using a distributed architecture and efficient data storage solutions. Secondly, the system would need to be reliable and fault-tolerant to ensure that it is always available. This would require using redundant hardware and software components and implementing robust error handling mechanisms. Thirdly, the system would need to be secure to protect sensitive data from unauthorized access. This would require using encryption, access controls, and other security measures. The system architecture would likely involve a multi-tiered approach, with a front-end user interface for accessing and managing data, a middle-tier application server for processing data and enforcing business rules, and a back-end database for storing data. The front-end user interface could be web-based or mobile-based, allowing users to access the system from any device with an internet connection. The middle-tier application server would be responsible for handling user requests, validating data, and performing calculations. The back-end database would store all of the data related to certification compliance, such as individual profiles, training records, and audit results. In addition to the core system components, there would also be several integration points with other systems, such as training providers, examination centers, and regulatory databases. These integration points would allow the system to automatically collect data from these sources and update the compliance status of individuals or organizations. The development of such a system would require a team of skilled engineers with expertise in software development, database design, and network security. The team would need to follow a rigorous software development process to ensure that the system is well designed, well tested, and meets all of the requirements. The system would also need to be regularly maintained and updated to address any bugs, security vulnerabilities, or changing requirements. In conclusion, real-time monitoring of certification compliance presents significant technical, legal, and ethical challenges. However, by leveraging technology, streamlining processes, and fostering collaboration, it is possible to improve the effectiveness of compliance monitoring and ensure that individuals and organizations are meeting the required standards. The design and implementation of a real-time compliance monitoring system would require a significant investment of resources and expertise, but the benefits of such a system could be substantial, including improved public safety, enhanced quality, and greater accountability. Therefore, regulatory bodies and industry associations should consider investing in these technologies to ensure that certification requirements are being met effectively. The implementation of these systems can vary. Firstly, the system must meet the requirements. Secondly, it must operate at the needed speed. And thirdly, it must be secure.